Hi, my name is Nahum. I am CEO of Zadara Storage, and I'm going to present here our multi-zone high availability storage product that allow to implement metro area automatic failover for the storage, and in top of the storage also for additional services. So it is very common in the cloud to have multiple data centers and to be able to have services in top of that that are transparent to disaster, or as transparent as possible to disaster. Typically in clouds, those are called availability zone, and availability zones are different data centers with different power supplies and different infrastructure, but they sit in the same region, in the same metropolitan area. Data centers and data services for the cloud need to be as reliable as possible, and we want disaster-tolerant data services to run at the cloud. What we provide is what we call multi-zone HA storage, and this is block storage or file storage, or both block and file, that has the capability to be disaster tolerant in the same region or across multiple zone availability zones of the same region. And this presentation is about how we achieve that. Once the storage is redundant and has the automatic failover, then all the additional data services are easy to provide in top of that. As you know, virtual machines are stateless, and the most difficult task is to be able to move the data from one side to the other or failover of the data. So we provide this storage capability, and then in top of that, knowing that you have a disaster-tolerant storage device, it is very easy to add additional services like database as a service or file systems or any other additional services that the cloud provider may want to add. First of all, how a single zone Zadara storage is built. What we have is a cloud of individual servers, or standard x86 servers, and we call our storage service the VPSA. VPSA stands for Virtual Private Storage Array. A virtual private storage array has dedicated drives, dedicated CPU and controllers, and dedicated network. So in this example, for example, we have a VPSA A. VPSA A is composed by 2 storage controllers on 2 different storage nodes, and 4 drives that are real physical drives allocated across these physical servers. We also allocate dedicated network, and customer A has a VPSA A. Okay. VPSA B is for customer B, that is a completely different customer and has different drives, different storage controllers, dedicated, and also separated networking. So we ensure that the customer A and customer B are completely isolated, even though we have a multi-tenant environment. And in this manner, we can provide predictable performance. We can provide additional security. Nobody else is touching the drives or the controllers that these VPSAs are using. And also, obviously, the separation in the networking. Each VPSA has a completely different network than the others. This is how we build the VPSA or the VPSA storage service when we talk about the single zone Zadara. When we go to multi-zone, so you can see here on the left how is single zone. Each VPSA has 2 controllers and some number of drives, and the storage can be accessible via either iSCSI, NFS, SMB from different availability zones. When we go on multi-zone HA, we separate the half of the hardware resources and we put half of them in one data center, the other half on the other data center, and what we call protection zone 1 and protection zone 2. And each VPSA controller do synchronous replication constantly between the two zones. Each availability zone can access and mount the storage from any one of them. So what you can see here, if the complete protection zone 1 is gone, both the availability zone 1 or the availability in zone 2 can access the storage from the protection zone 2. Okay, so this is the main goal.
Is that a common namespace for NAS?
Yes, common namespace. So both see the same storage and the same namespace. Yeah, great question. This is how we do that. In this case, we have 2 storage nodes, but obviously this can be done in a much larger cloud with many storage nodes. Protection zone 1 has storage node A1 and A2. Protection zone 2 has storage node B1 and B2. These protection zones are connected between them with multiple networking. We have redundant 10 gigabit networking between the two, redundant 1 gigabit networking. We have additional public IP redundancy. And you can see how the VPSA is built. When somebody selects to create a VPSA that is multi-zone HA, we actually create a VPSA that has one controller in one of the nodes of the left side, one controller on the other node of the right side, and we select drives across all the nodes between the two geographically dispersed data centers, and we do RAID 10. So any drive can fail, and we obviously do failover to the other drives, and also all the drives can fail or all the data center can fail, and we continue to have at least half of the drives on the second protection zone, and obviously the half of the CPUs. So we have redundant cores and redundant memory between the two sides or two protection zones, redundant networking, an automatic failover in case of a disaster. In case of if it is a controller failure or a total data center failure, we do automatic failover. The IP addresses are moving from one side to the other, and the client actually doesn't even feel that the storage is provisioned and used in the second data center. Okay, and this we do only with RAID 10. We don't allow RAID 5 and RAID 6 in this scheme. Okay. Additional components of our Zadara cloud. We have these are the software companies relevant to OpenStack that we run on the different storage nodes. So the storage node has the storage services plus the compute and volume from Nova. And as I said before, the storage nodes are divided half in one data center, half in the other data center. As well, we run the cloud controller cluster that has all the Nova components and Glance and Keystone, etc. And we have the CC master in one of the availability zones and CC slave on the other. And we can seamless failover. We also allow to have multiple CC slaves in case of we want to have a redundancy internally on every one of the protection zones. So this is a summary. Basically, in Zadara storage multi-zone HA, we do storage that is synchronously replicated between the protection zones, totally transparent to the user. The client continue to see only one IP address or one target. The access to the storage is via iSCSI and or NFS SMB. And this allow, for example, to do schemes like clustering that has clustered databases that has the need of shared storage. They can mount the same iSCSI volume on both availability zones and can be protected against data center failures. Or obviously NFS and SMB, clients on two different availability zones can share the data and they know that every failure on one of the availability zones will not cause a disruption in service. We do seamless failover between the protection zones, and this means that we move automatically the IP addresses from one zone to the other, and the client that actually doesn't feel that there is a full data center failure. We require at least at maximum, maximum 2 millisecond latency between the zones. So, and this is the limitation that need to be in the same region. We typically do this in Equinix data centers or core-side data centers, or different colocation data centers that live in the same city, and we cross-connect them via fiber or high bandwidth communication. And again, once the data is replicated in both protection zones, and once you know that you have stable and robust failover for the data, then it is very easy to add additional services that will be data center agnostic, I will say, or disaster tolerant, and the data is actually the most important thing to do this robust and in good performance. So this is all what I have. Any questions? Yeah.
Is there a certain sweet spot where virtual private storage really fits in terms of applications?
Yeah, great question. So this mechanism of having disaster-tolerant storage typically is until now being used by very high-end customers, because they need to have two separated data centers. They need to have people. They need to have storage that is capable of doing this synchronous replication and automatic failover. So people that need what we call zero RTO, zero RPO, and transparent failover are companies that spend millions of dollars, because every minute of downtime costs a lot of money. What we're trying to do is we are not targeting this kind of company, but we are bringing this capability to the masses. Because we collocate in our data centers or in Equinix data centers, we are taking care of all the infrastructure. The customer don't need to have data center, don't need to have people, they don't need to have the knowledge how to do that, and we have also the product. So the customer, the only thing that they need to do is to put a check mark, say, I want a disaster-tolerant VPSA, and for additional money, and it is little amount of money, it's like thousands per month, they can have a disaster-tolerant scheme. So the idea here is to go to people that they don't have the capability to do that, and for little amount of money, they can have a zero RPO, zero RTO storage. Okay? We are about time. Thank you very much.